Now, airports in 2026 are not the same as they used to be. From the moment you walk in, things are faster, more automated, and more digital than ever before. My name is Adam, and on this channel, we break down how airports really work, so your travel experience can be smoother and less stressful. But while these changes are designed to improve efficiency, they're also creating new challenges that many travelers don't expect. And for some people, especially seniors, these changes can make the airport experience feel even more confusing. In this video, we're going to break down what has changed in airports in 2026, what these changes actually mean for you, and why understanding them can make your next trip much easier. Let's start with one of the biggest changes you'll notice right away: self-check-in and full automation. One of the biggest changes you'll notice in airports in 2026 is how much of the process has become automated. In the past, travelers would interact with staff at check-in counters, ask questions, and receive step-by-step guidance. Today, many of those interactions have been replaced with self-service systems. From the moment you arrive, you're expected to check yourself in, print your boarding pass, and sometimes even tag your own luggage. At first glance, this seems convenient. It reduces waiting times and keeps lines moving faster. But for many travelers, especially seniors, this shift can feel confusing and unfamiliar. Instead of speaking to a person, you're now interacting with machines. Touch screens, digital menus, and automated instructions require a different kind of attention. You're expected to read, understand, and follow steps on your own, often without much guidance. Another challenge is that not all systems work the same way. Different airports and airlines may use slightly different interfaces, which means there's always a learning curve. What worked in one airport might not work the same way in another. This lack of consistency can create hesitation. You may find yourself double-checking each step, unsure if you're doing things correctly. And in a busy environment where people are moving quickly, that hesitation can turn into stress. For seniors, this experience can feel especially overwhelming. It's not just about learning how to use a machine, it's about doing so under time pressure, while also managing luggage and staying aware of surroundings. Another important factor is the reduction of human assistance. While staff are still present, they are often fewer in number and may not be as immediately available. This means travelers are expected to rely more on themselves. Many people only realize how significant this change is after experiencing it firsthand. What once felt like a guided process has become something you must navigate independently. Understanding this shift is important because it explains why airports in 2026 can feel different from what you remember. It's not just faster, it's more automated, and that changes how you interact with the entire system. Biometric scanning and facial recognition. Another major change in airports in 2026 is the increased use of biometric technology, especially facial recognition. In many airports, travelers are no longer required to show their boarding pass or even their passport at multiple checkpoints. Instead, cameras scan your face to confirm your identity. This technology is designed to make the process faster and more secure. For some travelers, this feels like a seamless improvement. You simply walk forward, look at a camera, and move on. There's less need to stop, present documents, or interact with staff. But for others, especially seniors, this can feel unfamiliar and even confusing. One of the biggest challenges is understanding how the system works. Unlike traditional methods where you physically show a document, biometric systems operate in the background. You may not always know when or how your identity is being verified. This can create uncertainty. You might wonder if you've done something wrong or if you've missed a step. Since the process is less visible, it can feel less clear. Another factor is trust. Some travelers may feel unsure about having their face scanned, especially if they don't fully understand the purpose or how the data is used. This can add a layer of discomfort to the experience. There's also the issue of adaptation. Biometric systems require you to position yourself correctly, look at the camera, and sometimes wait for confirmation. If the system doesn't respond immediately, it can create hesitation. For seniors, these small moments can feel more significant. Without clear instructions or feedback, it's easy to feel uncertain about what to do next. At the same time, these systems are becoming more common. Many airports are expanding biometric checkpoints to speed up boarding and reduce congestion. Understanding this change helps explain why airports in 2026 may feel different. The process is becoming less visible, more digital, and more automated. And while this can improve efficiency, it also requires travelers to adjust to a new way of moving through the airport, one that relies less on physical interaction and more on technology. Less human staff and reduced assistance. Another noticeable change in airports in 2026 is the reduced presence of human staff. In the past, travelers could easily find airline representatives at check-in counters, information desks, and throughout the terminal. If you had a question or needed help, there was usually someone nearby to guide you. Today, that experience is changing. As airports adopt more automated systems, the need for large numbers of staff has decreased. Self-check-in kiosks, automated bag drops, and digital boarding systems are now handling tasks that were once done by people. While this improves efficiency, it also means that travelers are expected to be more independent. For many people, this shift is manageable. But for seniors, it can create a sense of uncertainty. One of the biggest challenges is knowing where to go for help. Staff are still available, but they may not be as visible or as easy to access as before. Instead of standing at a counter, they may be moving around the terminal or assisting multiple travelers at once. This can make it harder to ask questions in the moment. Another issue is timing. When you do find a staff member, they may be busy or assisting others, which can lead to delays. In a time-sensitive environment like an airport, even small delays can add to stress. There's also the change in communication. With fewer staff interactions, travelers are receiving less direct guidance. Instead of being told what to do step by step, they must rely more on signs, screens, and their own understanding of the process. For seniors, this can feel like a significant shift. What was once a guided experience has become something more self-directed. This doesn't mean help is unavailable, but it does mean you may need to seek it out more actively. Many travelers only notice this change after experiencing it. They expect the same level of assistance as before, only to find that the process now relies more on technology and less on personal interaction. Understanding this helps explain why airports in 2026 can feel less supportive than they used to. It's not that assistance has disappeared. It's that the system now assumes travelers can manage more on their own. And for those who prefer clear guidance and human interaction, this change can make the entire experience feel more uncertain. Digital boarding and mobile dependency. Another major shift in airports in 2026 is the increasing reliance on digital boarding passes and mobile devices. In many cases, travelers are now expected to use their smartphones for nearly every step of the journey. Boarding passes, flight updates, gate information, and even security notifications are all delivered through mobile apps. At first, this seems convenient. Everything is stored in one place, and updates can be received instantly. There's no need to carry paper documents, and the process becomes faster. However, this shift also introduces new challenges. One of the biggest issues is dependency. If your phone battery runs low, your screen doesn't respond, or you're unfamiliar with the app, it can quickly become a problem. Unlike paper tickets, digital passes rely entirely on your device working properly. For seniors, this can feel limiting. Not everyone is comfortable navigating apps, adjusting settings, or troubleshooting issues on the spot. Even simple tasks, like opening the correct screen or increasing brightness, can take extra time and effort. Another factor is visibility. Airport environments can be bright, crowded, and fast-moving. Trying to read small text on a screen while keeping track of surroundings can be difficult. There's also the pressure of timing. Boarding often requires scanning your phone quickly, and delays can slow down the line behind you. This can create stress, especially if you're unsure whether everything is ready. In addition, digital systems are not always consistent. Different airlines may use different apps, layouts, or instructions. This means travelers must adapt each time they fly. For seniors, This constant adjustment can make the experience feel more complicated than it needs to be. Many people only realize how dependent airports have become on mobile devices after encountering a problem. A low battery or a confusing interface can suddenly disrupt the entire process. Understanding this change is important. Airports in 2026 are designed around digital convenience, but that convenience assumes a certain level of familiarity with technology. And when that assumption doesn't match the traveler's experience, the process can feel more stressful than helpful. Faster but more complex security systems. Another major change in airports in 2026 is how security systems have evolved. On the surface, everything is designed to be faster. New scanning machines, automated lanes, and advanced detection systems are helping move passengers through security more efficiently than before. But while the process is faster, it has also become more complex. In the past, security procedures were more predictable. You knew what to expect. Remove your shoes, take out certain items, place everything in trays, and proceed step by step. Now, that consistency is changing. Different security lanes may have different requirements. Some allow you to keep electronics in your bag, while others still require removal. Some scanners require specific positioning, while others operate differently. This variation means that travelers must pay close attention to instructions that can change depending on where they are. For many travelers, this adds a layer of uncertainty. Instead of following a familiar routine, you now have to interpret instructions in real time. This can be challenging, especially in a fast-moving environment where there is little time to pause and think. For seniors, this can feel overwhelming. You may find yourself watching others to understand what to do, trying to keep up with instructions, and managing your belongings all at once. If something isn't clear, it can create hesitation, and in a busy line, that hesitation can feel stressful. Another factor is the speed of the process. While faster systems reduce waiting time, they also create pressure to move quickly. There's often an expectation to be ready and move forward without delay. This can make simple tasks feel rushed. Putting items into trays, walking through scanners, and collecting belongings on the other side all happen in quick succession. If anything is missed or delayed, it can disrupt the flow and increase stress. Many travelers only realize how different security feels after experiencing these new systems. What was once a routine process has become something that requires more attention and adaptation. Understanding this change helps explain why airport security in 2026 can feel more confusing, even though it is technically more efficient. It's not just about speed, it's about how that speed changes the way you interact with the process. Smart gates and constant digital updates. Another important change in airports in 2026 is the use of smart gates and real-time digital updates. Airports are now more connected than ever. Flight information, gate assignments, and boarding updates can change quickly, and these changes are often communicated through digital screens and automated systems. At first, this seems like a positive development. Real-time updates mean that information is more accurate and responsive. If there's a delay or a change, it can be reflected immediately. However, this also introduces new challenges. One of the biggest issues is how frequently things can change. Gates may be updated, boarding times may shift, and information can be adjusted with little notice. This means travelers must stay alert and check updates regularly. For many people, this constant monitoring becomes part of the experience. For seniors, it can feel overwhelming. Instead of checking information once and feeling confident, you may feel the need to double-check repeatedly. This creates a sense of uncertainty, as you're never entirely sure if something has changed. Another factor is where the information appears. Updates may be shown on overhead screens, mobile apps, or announcement systems. Not all travelers rely on the same source, which means it's possible to miss important information if you're not looking in the right place at the right time. There's also the challenge of interpreting updates quickly. When a gate changes or a boarding call is announced, there may be limited time to react. This can create pressure, especially in large airports where moving from one location to another takes time. Smart gates themselves are also different from traditional boarding processes. Instead of interacting with staff, you may scan your boarding pass at an automated gate. If something doesn't work as expected, it can create confusion about what to do next. For seniors, these changes can make the experience feel less predictable. What used to be a steady, step-by-step process has become more dynamic and fast-moving. While this improves efficiency, it also requires travelers to stay more engaged and responsive throughout the journey. Understanding this helps explain why airports in 2026 can feel more demanding. It's not just about getting information, it's about keeping up with it as it changes. AI-driven systems and less explanation. One of the most important and often overlooked changes in airports in 2026 is the growing role of artificial intelligence in how everything operates. From check-in systems to security screening, from flight updates to passenger flow, many airport processes are now powered by AI. These systems are designed to make decisions quickly, manage large volumes of travelers, and keep everything running efficiently. On the surface, this works very well. Lines move faster, systems respond in real time, and many processes happen automatically without the need for human intervention. But there's one key difference that many travelers notice. There's less explanation. In the past, airport staff often guided passengers through each step. If something changed, or if you were unsure about what to do, you could ask questions and receive clear answers. Now, much of that interaction has been replaced by systems that simply expect you to follow instructions. For example, you might see a screen telling you where to go next, or a gate system indicating when to proceed. These instructions are usually brief and direct, but they don't always provide context or reassurance. For many travelers, this is fine, but for seniors, it can create a sense of uncertainty. When instructions are short and there's no one immediately available to explain them, it can feel like something is missing. You may find yourself wondering if you've understood correctly, or if there's something else you should be doing. Another factor is how quickly AI systems operate. These systems are designed for speed. They don't pause or adjust based on individual needs. They continue to process passengers in a steady flow. This can create pressure to keep moving, even if you need a moment to think or confirm your next step. There's also the issue of visibility. Many AI processes happen in the background. You may not see how decisions are being made or why certain changes occur. This lack of visibility can make the experience feel less transparent. For seniors, this can make airports feel less personal and more mechanical. What was once a guided experience with human interaction has become a system-driven process that expects travelers to adapt quickly. Understanding this change is important. Airports in 2026 are not just more automated, they are more intelligent in how they operate. But that intelligence comes with a trade-off: less explanation and less human interaction. And for many travelers, especially seniors, that shift can make the experience feel more confusing than ever. So when you look at how airports have changed in 2026, it becomes clear that the experience is very different from what it used to be. Everything is faster, more automated, and more efficient. But at the same time, it's also more digital, more complex, and in many ways, less guided. From self-check-in systems and biometric scanning to reduced staff, mobile dependency, and AI-driven processes, each change is designed to improve efficiency, but not necessarily simplicity. And that's why so many travelers, especially seniors, are finding airports more confusing than expected. The important thing to remember is this: it's not just you. These changes are happening everywhere, and they require a different way of navigating the airport experience. But once you understand what's changed and why, everything starts to make more sense. You can approach your journey with more awareness, more confidence, and a clearer understanding of what to expect. If you found this helpful, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from it. And for more insights like this, subscribe to Skyroute Secrets. My name is Adam. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.